Hi, welcome to the Listen Up Girl podcast. This is your daily LGBTQ plus news podcast. Today is Tuesday, July 28th, and we've got a lot to go through today. A Missouri library got threatened over a dinosaur book. A federal judge asked the Pentagon to question it doesn't want to answer. New medical research undercuts one of the right's favorite talking points. A failed gubernatorial candidate who just can't quit crusading against your marriage. And a recording that was never supposed to leak, a teacher in Ohio doing the work nobody's paying her to do, and a trans icon who turned an insult from the president into one of the most powerful things she's ever said. 7 stories today. We're going to start with the first one, which is sexual grooming, according to a guy who's upset about a dinosaur. So we start in Columbia, Missouri, where a rainbow story time for toddlers and preschoolers at the Daniel Boone Regional Library has somehow become a state-level incident. The event aimed at families planned to read 2 picture books at a Saturday morning story hour. One is about a child who dresses in drag to compete in a costume contest, and the other is about a family searching for a mythical, multicolored dinosaur called the Rainbowsaurus. That's it. That's the entire scandal. A kid's book about a rainbow dinosaur. A Missouri state senator called the event a form of sexual grooming that's unconscionable, if not criminal, and warned he'd move to block state and federal funding to the library if it went forward. The state attorney general's office followed that with a formal notice demanding the library ensure the event complies with Missouri laws. Library staff say the letter doesn't change anything and the event is going ahead exactly as scheduled. So let's be clear here about what actually happened here. Toddlers were going to hear a story about a colorful dinosaur, and a sitting state legislator decided that it was worth threatening at a public library's entire budget over it. That sounds unhinged, because it is. Next, a judge asked Hegseth this question he can't answer. A federal judge put Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth in a very uncomfortable spot, and it's worth sitting with exactly what she asked. Trans troops have been getting pushed out of the military under his ban, but here's the wrinkle. The Pentagon has also rolled out a new policy screening service members for testosterone levels for health reasons. Cisgender men who have low testosterone can get treatment and stay in uniform. Trans men are on testosterone for the exact same medical reason, are being flagged and threatened with discharge of the very treatment that's keeping them healthy. The judge wants Pete Hegseth's legal team to explain, on the record, why the Department of Defense is treating trans men differently from cisgender men from the so-called new policy, separate from the outright ban itself. It's simple, direct question with an answer nobody in the administration particularly wants to say out loud in a courtroom. That some people's medical needs are apparently more equal than others, and the Pentagon has built an entire policy around making sure of it. His and that administration's whole obsession with transgender people, there are some deep psychological issues that Pete Hegseth and his whole entire administration need to work through. Our next story is new research just gutted one of the right's favorite talking points. Here's a story that deserves more attention than it's gotten. A major new medical review out of the Netherlands just concluded that gender-affirming care for trans youth is, in the committee's own words, morally urgent. This matters because American conservatives constantly point to Europe and the Netherlands specifically to justify rolling back care here, claiming European countries have quietly abandoned it. The review says the opposite. It found that gender-affirming treatment fits squarely within the country's law and their health care framework, and that the physical effects doctors intended to achieve are actually being achieved, and that the signs of improved mental health outcomes and the instance of regret are low. The committee also said that the current data and the unintended physical and mental effects isn't raising red flags. In plain terms, the science holds up. It's not new and it's not going away, no matter how many times politicians here claim otherwise. Our next story is she lost her race and she's still coming for marriage. Winsome Earl Sears lost her bid for Virginia governor by 13 points last year after turning one of the most aggressively anti-LGBT campaigns in the state's recent memory. You would think that would be enough to end it, but it's not. She's launched what she's calling her Life and Marriage Tour, traveling the state to campaign against two constitutional amendments on this year's fall's ballot, one protecting abortion rights and one protecting marriage equality in case the Supreme Court ever revisits Obergefell. And here's the thing. This is the same Earl Sears who, as lieutenant governor, was constitutionally required to sign a marriage equality bill into law last year and couldn't resist attaching a handwritten note to it declaring that she remained morally opposed to the whole thing, even while she signed. She lost the election by double digits. Virginians made their decision. She didn't get the memo, and she's spending her post-election life trying to undo it anyway. Poor lady. Take a hint. Nobody wants you anymore. Next, the mic was still on. Over in Norwich, England, an animal rights activist named Gemma Barnes just posted nearly 5 hours of audio that police accidentally recorded on her own confiscated body cam back in 2023, and it's a lot. Barnes had been arrested while protesting outside a police station over a separate animal cruelty case. Officers took her body cam as part of the arrest without realizing it was still recording, spent the aftermath making racial jokes, mocking violence, and insulting the protesters. A trans protester arrested alongside Barnes gets referred to as the pink hair thing, whatever that thing was, they, them. Barnes gets called, quote, an absolute waste of space. In Norfolk, response so far has been sent 3 officers to something called reflective practice, Barnes says. That's nowhere near enough, which is why she's now suing the department over both the comments and how she was treated that day. Her lawyer summed it up that the tape, as well as anyone could, it sounds less like a police station and more like a school where teachers left and the bullies took over. It happens everywhere. Next, the teacher who decided not to wait. Now for something that actually gives us a little hope. An Ohio middle school teacher, Erica Putro, realized something alarming. Most of her colleagues had no real idea what their state's anti-LGBTQ laws actually required of them, or how laws were quietly shaping the experience of their LGBTQ plus students. So instead of waiting for someone else to fix it, she built a fix herself. Working with a nonprofit, Mahoning Valley Queer Action, Putro launched Honesty for Mahoney Valley Education, a grassroots initiative that trains teachers on how these laws affect their students in practice and pushes them to bring that knowledge to their school boards and push for real protective policy, not just good intentions. No permission slip, no budget, no title, just one teacher who decided that her students couldn't afford to wait for the adults in the room to catch up. Love that. Then we have Dylan Mullaney, who had something to say. So we're closing today with Dylan Mullaney. At Friday's White House Correspondents' Dinner, the orange convicted felon took a swipe at her while comparing her to a CNN reporter who just won an award, dredging up years of old Bud Light backlash like it's still 2023, and she's still the punchline he wants her to be. Mullaney didn't dunk on him back. She did something better. In a 4-minute video posted the next day, she congratulated the reporter who she had been compared to and turned the entire moment inside out. I am permanently burned into their retinas, she said. I am microphoned into their heads and into their minds. She called being mocked by the administration the greatest compliment she could ask for and laid out exactly what she needs from her audience right now. Support trans and non-binary people, vote for them, hire them, and above all, love them publicly and proudly. To young trans people watching, she said, to hold on to every piece of themselves tightly, especially the parts that are being told to feel ashamed of. Her closing line is one worth carrying into tomorrow. To the president, thank you for reminding me that I am more powerful than I even knew. Love that. She clapped back in a most professional and profound way. So thanks for listening today. If this show keeps you informed, hit the subscribe button, leave a rating, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'll be back tomorrow with more LGBTQ plus news, and thank you for listening.